welcome back to my channel. I'm Joni Young. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe and tap that bell. Today I'm going to be showing you how to paint a hummingbird. Working on this 12 by 16 white canvas, and I've got a few different colors I'm going to be showing you today. Some of these are my favorite brands. So here we've got turquoise, neon pink, whoops, that was backwards, and we've got neon yellow, neon red, sap green, titanium white, ultramarine blue, and phthalo blue. So let's go ahead and get started, you guys. I'm going to start with the background, and I'm going to use this really cool blending brush. This is a chalk brush, a round chalk brush. You guys have seen me use this before. It's called Chalk Mountain Brush or Brushes. The brand, you can find these online or even at Walmart or any art store, really. What I want to do is have blurry background, like this hummingbird is flying into a garden. So we're going to have greens, a few different shades of green. And I'm going to start with my neon yellow. Actually, I should just pull into all of that yellow. And I'm going to just go around in a circular motion like this, so lots of little circles. And then I'm going to take my sap green with the rest of that yellow. I'm just going to scoop it all up there. And I'm going to start tapping like this. So this makes a really nice stipple brush as well. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of my white and I'm going to start very lightly very lightly. You don't want to push too hard, otherwise you're going to be left with lots of lines and streaks. And the idea is to blur up all those fine lines, right? We want to make it look soft. I'm going to switch over to this brush now. This is a round mop. It's a number 20. Okay, I'm going to take some white to begin with. Just a little light tap like that. And that neon yellow. See, if you do it quickly like this, very lightly, like you're just dusting. I think I want to make this still a little bit blurry. I want to build up a really nice blurry out of focus background that will really draw our eye into the focal point, which is this beautiful hummingbird. And as I'm painting this, I can see little hummingbirds right in my garden. I think I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to pick up the white and the yellow again. And I'm going to start in the center, very lightly. We're going to add, you know what, I think I'm going to add some sun rays in here. Okay, so before I dry this off, I want to get a blended sun ray look. I think I'm just going to do this right away, and I've got a really nice brush here. This is number 12, Pro Stroke Power Krill Creative Mark. It's a nice flat brush. It's kind of like, I don't know if it's just from using it a lot, a little bit rounded on the end, but you're going to want a flat brush for painting, sorry, hope you guys can see that. You're going to want a flat brush for painting sun rays. So you get those nice straight lines and they don't curve. All right, so what I want to do is get my brush just a little bit wet, okay? So I've got a few little drips coming out of it. You want your paint to be transparent, very see-through, right? So I'm going to take a bit of my light green yellowy color over here with that white. Before that can dry, I'm going to come from this end here, or this top corner here, pull and flick. And see, I'm picking up all those greens and that yellow in there first. This is going to give us a nice soft, more of a blurry look. Now our little hummingbird's going to fall right about there. I'm going to leave it like this and dry it off, and then I'm going to come back to it and you'll see how we build up from this blurry layer. That's not really see-through at all, but we're going to do it, make sure that it looks see-through in just a moment. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. Alrighty, so it's nice and dry and we're ready for our next step, which is building up this pretty sun ray. So I've still got this color here. Drying that off only took me maybe 1 to 2 minutes, if that. The paint isn't very thick, so that's why it dried off a lot quicker. Okay, so I'm going to start from here again. And now this is working a lot better. But we still have that nice blurry layer underneath. So I'm going to do this quite quickly. You can paint as many of these light rays, sun rays as you want. And go ahead, add some more. We can cover this part with a little branch or some leaves, whatever this hummingbird is attracted to. So I'm going to take a Filbert brush, excuse me, so it's a number 8 I've got here. Any size of Filbert brush will work just fine though. Okay, and I'm just going to make this a little bit brighter here. I'm going to come in just kind of wiggling my brush with that yellow and the white. And then we're going to have in front of this some leaves, okay? Well, I better switch back to, because you can already see it's not the greatest shape there. So I'm going to have to switch over to my flat brush again to make sure I get those nice lines. Nice straight lines. Still, it's a little bit wet, so it can make it a little bit tricky. I have to be lighter with my pressure and not pull too hard. So see how just doing that has really given us a nice vibrant feel of sunlight right there. I love that. It's dramatic. We're creating a mood. I'm going to scoop up a little bit more of my yellow now, and I'm going to come put it around here. And I'm just going to tap, kind of just wiggle. I'm trying to do is add some shadows in here, making these leaves look like they're more in silhouette because the light is coming underneath there. So see how this is really drawing our eye in already so quickly. Maybe there's going to be some vines or something hanging down. That look nice when we have the sun rays here and then we have something hanging down here. Really creates a mood and a nice atmosphere. Then you can just tap with just the corner of your brush. See, just using the corner, you can push and tap, creating lots of little leaves. So I want to show you what this looks like, this section here. And I've got my neon yellow and my sap green, and I'm just going to scoop up a little bit of both without blending it. And this is how you get that really natural look. So this will kind of look like there's bits of light in between whatever's going on here. Let's switch over to, I think, my liner brush. So if you have a liner brush and it looks like this, don't throw it out. Once you get it wet, it's perfect again. My yellow, little bit of white. I grabbed a little bit of green in there, that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna come right in here. A little bit more yellow this time. And you see, all I'm doing, looks like I'm scribbling. I'm just doing little dabs and squiggles. Go back to straight hunter green or sap green, hunter green, sap green, hooker's green, whatever dark green you have. Now I'm just envisioning, I'm seeing a branch. So sometimes when you let your brush do its own thing, you can look back after and you'll start to see things. Look at that. I did not plan this. It's just kind of happening organically on its own. That's why I love this painting process so much. I'm going to pull up and wiggle. And just have a couple branches like that. I'm going to get those the same colors on my flat brush, a little bit of water, white and yellow. Press, pull, flick. Going to use a Filbert brush. So what we want to do is have his beak, he's looking towards the light, right? I think that we will just start his head right like this. So it goes like that, kind of an arch like that. And then his beak is going to go just like that. It curves off a little bit. It comes down with a slight little scoop like this. So this is going to be more of a bluey, purpley color. There's a line right here in his pattern. Head, eye will be right in here in his beak. And then right in here, do a little line and a scoop out. Scoop out. And then a little scalloped edge like this. We'll go in. So again, it's going to come out farther there, and then scoop and scoop. I'm going to pull. little subtle lines in like that. Okay, and then his second one. Oops, ignore that. His second one is right here. And then we're just gonna go down on an angle. Bring this out a little bit longer. And his pattern will be going in like this. But don't worry about the pattern yet. We're just going to get the shape. So down right here. This section is going to be, so it's kind of like, going to be a rainbow pretty much. We're going to start with purple, blue, turquoise, light limey, neon green here into our orange, red, and some neon pink. Okay, so we're going to keep going down. I'm going to just prop this canvas up here and do this carefully so that we don't lose focus of what's going on in the bottom there, and I have room to get down here. And it comes out slightly wider right here. And a little wider there. Alright, so I'm going to paint this in white. I'm going to dry it off. We want our colors to be very pure and show up, so we need a white underpainting first. Okay, so just going to fill this in. And then I'll dry it off. It's got all these little scoopy, like almost like scales for a pattern. So I'm going to add little dabs like this. You can barely see it. Just make sure I've got the right shape here. And the little ends. Okay, so I'm happy with this shape. The beak. A little bit of blue that goes in there, but the white part of his beak is about that long. And we'll just make that show up better when we come in with our color after. So he's dry, and I think I want to start with this beak. I'm going to use my long liner brush. You can use any liner brush of your choice, you guys. A short one is fine, whatever brush you feel comfortable with trying to get. So this is the technique. So because this is dry, this is handy because when you're working on something that's really, that you need a lot of focus and steady hand for, use your pinky to steady your hand. So you can hold the brush, and that's the brush stroke we're going to do right now, okay? I'm going to just take my phthalo and my cobalt, just a little bit on the tip of my brush, and I'm going to go again, steadying my hand, and I just did a little boo-boo right there. So before that can dry, I'll wipe that off. Okay, just carefully wipe it off, no big deal. I'm going to go to my white again, clean brush, and I'm going to, oops, make sure your pinky is clean. Go from the end. I'm going to make this part right in here a little bit, I'm going to come down a little bit lower with my white. And I'm going to start with my turquoise right in this area. I'm going to do little scoops like this, okay? Going to be brighter here, so I'm kind of staying away from that right now. I'll come in with more of a white tinted with a turquoise. And then, so the scoops, little tiny scoops, little smiles, whatever you need to call them, or the way you need to look at them to help break that down for you. And then we're going to also have right down here a little bit of turquoise. I'm going to wash my brush off. Clean up that edge a little bit. That is blue. I can still work with that a little bit. I'm going to take some white with my turquoise. So I'm just tinting. See how it's a lighter shade? So I'm going to go right in here, little scoops, right up to here. It's coming out on his back and part of the wing, and then up just partially, see that, just partially on the back of his head. And then with a little bit of white, you can do some little, and you can use a small brush for this if you want, little tiny scoops. a little bit of white and phthalo blue. So we're going down in a V and then up, up. I'm just gonna do a little dry brush here because that is gonna have some purple. And his beak, that white comes out a little bit, so I'm gonna go underneath here. His eye's gonna be in here somewhere too. Probably right about somewhere right about in there. We'll just kind of do that roughly just so we know it's there. And then there's going to be this large scoop around his eye. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of white. And I'm going to go right from above his eye, make this lighter right here. Cobalt, tint it with a little bit of white. I'm going to start adding it close to the back of his head and his neck and down, outlining that. And then it's got that line, right? That separates for his pattern. And get right up close here, pull. Add a little bit of white now, making more of that light blue violet. You can tap a little bit to create a bit of a pattern. Okay, so right in here, we're going to do a layer of phthalo over this turquoise to create another color. I'm going to go, see, I'm gently scooping. And then a little scumble. We get a really pretty color and some shadow. And a little bit right here where it dips down and scoops into his wing. A little bit there. Make it a little bit darker here. Right in this little area, this scoop around his eye, I'm going to bring that light white and phthalo blue. And if it dries a bit too dark, then I can go back and add a little bit more later on. Come in with his eye there. Now I'm going to add a little bit of purple. Actually, what I'm going to use for my purple is the neon pink or neon magenta. I'm going to take a little bit of white. You want just a little bit of white though. We're not making a pastel color. And this over top of the blue is going to make a really pretty purple. So it'll dry darker than that. And go under his eye slightly. I'm going to bring a little bit down here. So right here for his other wing. And it's going to meet up right there. Back to my phthalo white with this pink, so we can get a nice purple color. I'm going to just do little taps and dabs like that. And get my brush a little bit wet. So getting my brush a bit wet, I'm working out the paint that's kind of drying and getting stuck in the back of my brush there. You want to make sure, keep an eye on that so you're not ruining your brushes. And I'm going to start doing a little tap line right there. Come up, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a white line. And make a little design like that, which is really easy to do with a Filbert brush because you've got that rounded end, right? I'm going to take some white and make a lighter shade. I'm actually going to add a little bit of this to the beak so the beak doesn't look so white. Do a little tap, little taps on the top like that. And then soften, tap, tap, tap with my finger. And same in here, little tap. Just reload my brush. And come right in here. And with this color again, the neon pink, a little bit of white and phthalo. I'm going to do, oh, I need more paint. You might want to use a liner brush for this. Just want to do those lines. And a curve and push down here where it's going to be dark and in shadow. And it comes out. We'll do this little pattern here. And then see how it starts to turn? So it's up and then it starts to curve down on an angle. right to there. I'm going to be a little bit more generous with my blue and my pink now, making a deep purple. Push, come up, twist, and go over. A little bit of shadow in here that I'm going to go over and filter over with my yellowy green later. A little bit more up here. It's drying a bit too light. Switch over to my liner, and I'm going to take my light purpley pink color again. Load my brush up. Oh, I need a little bit more white on there. This time I'm going to make my lines go up higher. Put a few little taps in there. And right away I'm going to pick up turquoise and just tap. I'm going to bring a little bit of turquoise in here with the tip of my liner brush and just scoop, little scoops, phthalo and white. Come in here, oh, a little bit more white to make that show up. I want to make this look sort of iridescent, shiny. I think we need to give him a little white highlight in his eye. So I'm going to do a little shape, a little round circle for his eye. And then a little push, blob, and pull. A few little blobs and pulls like that. Just add a little bit more with a dark color. Just do a few more little squiggles here. Tap, tap, tap. And I'm happy with that. Oops. Just want to make sure that white part of his beak isn't going towards his eye. take some of my ultramarine blue. Make those little scoops again. And start making these lines a little bit more defined. So pushing and pulling. So we're getting really close to the tip of the wing. Pull out with a little bit of lighter color in here. Just adding a bit of white to tone that. Okay, so I think I'm ready for my next yellow, or next color, which I'm gonna add with my little Filbert brush. Take my neon yellow, and I'm gonna put it right here to start. Start adding a filter here. That looks pretty. And right there. And add a little bit of it right back there too. And to make that show up a little bit more, I'm going to add a little bit of white. Okay, I'm going to take some of my neon red now with my neon yellow, and I can make a really vibrant, glowing coral peachy color. And I'm just going to start adding it right in here over top of that purple. Dry a little bit darker, just to be sure It's nice and dark. I'm going to take that purpley color I made again. Go over this slightly so that it doesn't look too thick. Those little feet are going to be right about here. I'm going to start coming in with a few little scoops and shadows in here. So right up to this second wing here, I'm going to do a few little dabs like this. And then we're going to come around. Tap, tap. Any one of the dark colors that you want to use is fine. Around the bottom portion of his wing, in, and then over to there. Just going to soften that a little bit. Rinse my brush out. Using a little bit of my neon red now. Dab lightly over here. Make the color pop out a little bit more. Just pull a little bit of that neon red over there. I'll try darker. Now I'm just going to make this come in a little bit more. Back to my long liner brush here. You want to water your brush down and take that sap green. Have the paint just on the tip of your brush. Barely touching, very little pressure. I'm going to create all these little scoops so that they look like the pattern. It's very thin. I find it easier if I do it really quickly. So you just get into that groove of it and just keep going. Scoop, 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 layer upon layer. And then around his head. They're really tight, so they're just kind of little squiggles like this until they come around. Just a few little lines in there. Of course, it's darker right in here. Oops, water down my brush again. There's little scoops right in there. I just made my light purpley color again, phthalo pink and white. I'm going to come in with little scoops, a few little ones right in there. And there's going to be a few little wispy feathers that he's got there, so I'm going to take all three of my greens, well, yellow, sap green, and turquoise, and a little bit of white. And then tap and pull and flick. A few little ones like that. They'll show up a little bit more with a bit more white. And then, whoops, got a drip. Gotta catch that right before it goes down the canvas. I do my scoops in here quickly. Well, let's do a few little claws for his feet. Gonna add a highlight to his little claws with that pinky color. Or purpley color, I should say. So I'm just going to fine tune these lines on the wings a little bit using my purple that I made with phthalo and the neon pink with just a little bit white, just so they stand out a little bit more. So I'm still using my liner brush for this. Yellow-white mixture here. A few little dabs. carve some squiggles down here. So I feel like right in here, I made it a little bit too thick. It might look fine, I don't know, it's just something that's standing out and bothering me. So I'm just going to take my background color and I'm going to go over it and try to make it a little bit thinner. Just match that up. And when you're trying to cover up something a little bit darker like that, you might have to go over it a few times. So now I have to come in here and add my dark purple again because I made it thinner, but we have those shadows in there. So I'm going to take my phthalo and my neon pink, come in here closer with it. There, I like that better. So I think we should add a little flower, something here that he's attracted to. So I'm going to add the flowers that my hummingbird in my garden are attracted to, and I don't know what they're called, but they have these little tiny little white blossoms on them with a little touch of red on the end. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that. And then we'll put some kind of more in shadow up here. Take my liner brush, a little bit of that purpley color I had on there, do a few little dots. And just pull some little lines out here. Something kind of squiggly. Can't look like theirs. We'll carry it. The top up here as well. A few little flowers right up here before we call this painting done. Okay, so we've got a few shades of purple, pink, and red in here. Okay, so I'm really happy with how this one turned out. I hope you guys got inspired today and you want to paint along with me. I'll see you next time very soon in another video. Bye for now.